boy's bare feet slap marble. Once, twice, a third time that echoes off columns taller than most buildings in the neighborhoods he came from. Victor Hale freezes on the terrace steps, briefcase still in hand, tie loosened from a board meeting that shifted $40 million with his signature. He watches dust rise from where the boy's heels strike stone worth more per square foot than entire apartments downtown. His daughter is laughing. Elena hasn't laughed in 847 days. Victor knows the exact count because he started tracking the morning after the fall, after the balcony railing gave way, after the ambulance screamed up this same driveway, after the surgeon used words like incomplete spinal injury and uncertain prognosis and will know more with time. But she's laughing now. The sound pierces Victor's chest like physical impact. Sharp, unexpected, unbearably real. The boy spins without warning. His clothes hang loose, faded fabric that might have been gray once, might have been white, might have belonged to someone twice his size. Dust streaks his calves. His arms punch air with movements that ignore every rule of formal dance Victor has ever witnessed at galas where choreographers charge thousands per performance. This costs nothing, and it's destroying Victor's assumptions about value. Elena sits 20 feet away in her wheelchair, hands striking together so hard her palms must hurt. Her face is open, mouth wide, eyes bright, shoulders shaking with joy that doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for approval, doesn't apologize for existing. Victor's throat closes. He spent 2 years building systems around his daughter. Physical therapists from Switzerland, neurologists from Johns Hopkins, equipment designed by engineers who specialize in spinal rehabilitation. Every morning at 6, Elena's nurse arrives with schedules printed on cream cardstock. Exercises timed to the minute, medications measured to the milligram, progress documented in charts that Victor reviews every evening like quarterly reports. Control replaced chaos. Money replaced uncertainty. Authority replaced helplessness. And his daughter stopped laughing anyway. Now she claps for a barefoot boy who shouldn't be here, who Victor didn't authorize, who somehow slipped past security gates that cost more than most people earn in a year. The boy notices Victor mid-spin. His body coils instantly, weight shifting to his toes, hands dropping to his sides, eyes sharp with street instincts that read danger faster than Victor reads balance sheets. He looks at Victor and sees what everyone sees. Power. Consequence. The man who decides what happens next. Victor's hand tightens on his briefcase handle. He should send the boy away. Should ask how security failed. Should restore order to space that operates on systems, on schedules, on control that keeps his daughter safe from variables he can't predict. But Elena speaks first. Don't stop. Her voice isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It cuts through afternoon air with certainty Victor hasn't heard from her since before. Before the fall, before the hospital, before everything shrank to what could be managed from a wheelchair. The boy looks at Elena, then back at Victor. Waiting. Victor's chest feels crushed. 3 seconds pass. 5, 10. Go on, Victor hears himself say. The boy hesitates 1 second longer. Then he dances. But everything changes now because Victor is watching, really watching, not managing or analyzing or solving. Just witnessing. The boy doesn't dance randomly. Every movement responds to Elena. When her breathing quickens, he slows his rhythm. When she leans forward, he spins closer. When she claps faster, he matches her tempo exactly. It's not performance. It's conversation. Victor has spent 2 years surrounding his daughter with experts who speak in careful language about realistic expectations and incremental progress. They measure hope in millimeters, celebrate victories counted in degrees of motion so small they require instruments to verify. This boy measures nothing. He just responds. Elena laughs again. Deeper this time, pulled from somewhere in her chest that Victor thought the fall had silenced permanently. The sound breaks something inside him. Not painfully, but completely. Victor's briefcase slips from his fingers, hits marble with dull thud that neither Elena nor the boy acknowledges, because they're locked in this wordless exchange where movement replaces language and trust replaces transaction. He watches his daughter's hands grow red from clapping. Watches her lean so far forward her chest nearly leaves the wheelchair's backrest. Watches her feet twitch against the footrests. Tiny movements, barely visible, like her body remembers something her mind tried to forget. The boy spins one final time, stops with theatrical precision, throws his arms wide. Elena erupts with applause. The boy grins, expression that transforms his guarded face into something openly joyful. Again, Elena asks breathlessly. The boy nods. He starts a new sequence, slower this time, more controlled. His arms drift through air like he's swimming through something invisible. Elena's clapping softens to match. Her breathing deepens. Her entire body seems to relax into rhythm she didn't know she needed. Victor remains frozen on the terrace steps. His security chief appears beside him, voice low and urgent. "Sir, we tried to stop him at the gate, but you authorized." "I know what I authorized." Victor doesn't look away from the courtyard. "When did he arrive?" 40 minutes ago. He walked straight to the courtyard. Didn't ask for food, didn't ask for money. Just started dancing when he saw Miss Elena. "Has he said anything?" "Not to us. To her." The security chief pauses. He talks about the movement, about rhythm, about listening to her body. Victor's jaw tightens. 3 days ago he saw the boy near the outer gate. Then, watching, Victor assumed hunger, assumed need, assumed charity would solve whatever problem the child represented. So he told security, if he returns, give him food, let him wash, send him on his way. Helping felt efficient, moral, the kind of action that requires no follow-up, that solves problems through resources applied correctly. The boy never asked for food. He asked for nothing. He just found Elena and started dancing. In the courtyard, the boy finishes his sequence. Elena is breathing hard, smiling so wide her face must ache. "Tomorrow?" she asks. The boy nods once. Then he turns and walks toward the garden exit. Same quiet confidence he entered with, same bare feet, same refusal to ask for anything Victor is prepared to give. "Wait!" Victor calls out. The boy stops, turns slowly. Victor descends the terrace steps, crosses marble that suddenly feels like vast distance, stops 10 feet away because something in the boy's posture suggests he's ready to bolt if approached too quickly. "What's your name?" Victor asks. The boy studies him for a long moment. "Marcus." "Marcus." Victor nods. "Thank you for..." He stops. "Thank you for what?" "For trespassing? For making my daughter laugh? For disrupting every system I built to keep her safe?" "I like dancing," Marcus says simply. "She likes watching. That's all. That's everything." Marcus tilts his head slightly. "Is there supposed to be more?" Victor opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. He has negotiated billion-dollar deals, has sat across from world leaders and refused to blink first, has built empire through understanding exactly what people want and how to provide it at profit. He has no idea what this boy wants. "You can come back," Victor says finally, "if you want." "I know," Marcus replies. Then he leaves, slipping through the garden gate like shadow, disappearing into afternoon light. Elena turns her wheelchair to face her father. "You were going to send him away." "I was considering it." "But you didn't." "No." Victor moves to sit on the fountain's edge beside her. "I didn't." "Why not?" Victor looks at his daughter, really looks without the filter of fear and control he's maintained for 847 days. He sees color in her cheeks, sees brightness in her eyes, sees posture that suggests engagement instead of endurance. "Because you laughed," he says quietly. Elena's expression softens. "I forgot I could." The words land like confession. Victor's vision blurs. He blinks rapidly, jaw tight. "I'm sorry," he says. "For what?" "For building cages and calling them care. For surrounding you with systems instead of asking what you actually needed." Victor's hands curl into fists on his knees. "For believing money could solve everything when maybe..." His voice breaks. When maybe presence was the only thing that mattered. Elena reaches over, places her hand on her father's arm. Her grip is stronger than Victor remembers. Steadier. "He's coming back tomorrow," she says. "I know. Are you going to watch?" Victor looks at the courtyard, at marble still warm from dancing feet, at fountain whispering its constant rhythm, at space that suddenly feels less like territory to control and more like stage for something he doesn't understand yet but desperately needs to witness. Yes, he says. I'm going to watch. But here's what Victor doesn't know yet, what he won't understand until it's almost too late. The boy didn't come to be saved. He came to reveal something Victor buried under years of wealth and authority. And before this story ends, Victor will face a choice that costs more than money can buy. A choice between maintaining the power that built his empire and recognizing the truth that might finally set his daughter free. If you've ever believed you were helping someone when you were actually the one who needed to learn, if you've ever confused control with love or resources with presence, then stay with this story. Because what happens in this courtyard over the next 3 months will challenge everything we think we know about dignity, help, and what it really means to see another human being clearly. This is the story of a billionaire who thought he was rescuing a homeless boy until a dance revealed who actually needed saving. Marcus returns at 3:07 the next afternoon. Victor tracks the time from his third-floor office window. He's been tracking it since 2:30, checking his watch every few minutes while pretending to review acquisition documents that blur together into meaningless numbers. Below, Elena positions her wheelchair near the courtyard entrance. She's been there since 2:45. Victor watched her gesture to her nurse, watched the nurse wheel her into place, watched Elena adjust her position 3 times until the angle satisfied some criteria Victor doesn't understand. She's waiting. Victor sets down documents he hasn't actually read. He moves to the window, coffee cup forgotten on the desk behind him. Marcus appears through the garden gate exactly as he did yesterday. Quiet confidence, bare feet, clothes that hang loose like they're borrowed from someone else's life. He nods once at the security guard near the fountain. The guard nods back. No words exchanged. No permission requested. Victor's jaw tightens. He never authorized this familiarity. Never told security to treat the boy like he belongs here. But somehow it happened anyway. In the courtyard, Marcus sees Elena. His entire posture changes. Shoulders relax, face softens. Something like joy flickers across features that usually stay carefully neutral. Elena's hands move immediately to clapping position, though Marcus hasn't started dancing yet. Ready, anticipating. Victor's chest constricts. Marcus begins slower than yesterday. His movements flow instead of punch. Body swaying like he's moving through water, arms drifting through air with deliberate grace. Elena's clapping matches his rhythm immediately, softer than before, more controlled. They've synchronized. Victor exhales slowly, breath fogging the window glass. His assistant appears in the doorway behind him. Sir, the board is waiting for. Cancel it, Victor says without turning. Sir, cancel the meeting. Reschedule for tomorrow. But they flew in from. I don't care where they flew from. Victor's voice stays level, but something underneath carries weight that stops further protest. Tell them something came up. Tell them I apologize. Tell them whatever makes them feel important. Then leave. His assistant hesitates 3 seconds longer. Then, yes, sir. The door closes softly. Victor remains at the window. Below, Marcus spins, controlled rotation, arms extended for balance. Elena leans forward, watching with intensity that Victor recognizes as inheritance. That's his focus reflected back, his obsessive attention to detail, his refusal to miss anything important. She's studying. Marcus slows his spin at exactly the moment Elena's breathing quickens. Victor notices this, the way Marcus seems to read her body through air, adjusting rhythm before she needs to ask, responding to signals Victor can't even detect. How does he know? Victor whispers to empty office. The dance continues for 40 minutes. Longer than yesterday. More complex. Marcus introduces new movements. Sharp turns followed by sudden stillness. Gestures that seem to tell stories without words. Elena's clapping grows stronger. Her arms move higher. Her posture straightens incrementally. Victor tracks every detail like he tracks market trends, like he tracks competitor movements, like he tracks anything that might impact outcomes he cares about. This matters. He doesn't know why yet, but this matters more than board meetings and acquisition documents and the 17 emails marked urgent that sit unread in his inbox. At 4:32, Marcus finishes with a stomp that echoes off columns. Elena erupts with applause, hands striking together so hard the sound carries all the way to the 3rd floor. Victor opens his office door, descends 3 flights of stairs without bothering to use the elevator, crosses the entrance hall where paintings worth millions hang on walls he barely notices anymore. He reaches the colonnade just as Marcus starts to leave. "Wait!" Victor calls out. Marcus turns. His body coils slightly, not fear exactly, but wariness, like he's ready to run if the situation requires it. Victor approaches slowly, stops 15 feet away this time, maintaining distance that feels safer for both of them. "You came back," Victor says. "I said I would." "You never actually said that. You just nodded." Marcus shrugs. "Same thing." Victor studies the boy more carefully now. The scar above his left eyebrow, old injury, healed wrong. The way he distributes weight slightly more on his left foot, favoring an ankle that probably broke once and never got properly set. The muscle definition in his arms and shoulders that suggests physical labor, suggests survival, suggests life outside systems that guarantee 3 meals a day. "Where do you live?" Victor asks. "Around." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I've got." Marcus's expression stays neutral. "Does it matter?" "It might. If you're going to keep coming here, I need to know." "I'm not here for you." Marcus's voice stays quiet but carries certainty that cuts through Victor's authority like it's irrelevant. "I'm here for her." He gestures toward Elena, who watches them both with alert attention. "If she wants me to stop coming, I stop. Otherwise," he shrugs again. "Otherwise I keep coming." Victor feels control slipping, the specific control he maintains through information, through understanding variables, through knowing more than the people he negotiates with. He knows nothing about this boy. "My security team tried to offer you food yesterday," Victor says. "You refused." "I wasn't hungry." "They tried to offer you a place to clean up. You refused that too." "I was clean enough." "What do you want?" Marcus looks at Victor like the question confuses him. "I want to dance. That's all." "What else would there be?" Victor opens his mouth, closes it. Every framework he uses to understand human motivation, money, status, security, advantage, none of it applies to this conversation. "Most people want something," Victor says finally. "I'm not most people." Marcus turns to leave again. "Tomorrow," Elena calls out. Marcus looks back at her, smiles, subtle curve of mouth that transforms his guarded expression. "Tomorrow." Then he's gone, disappearing through the garden gate like he materialized from nowhere and returned to the same place. Victor moves to sit on the fountain's edge beside his daughter's wheelchair. "He confuses you," Elena observes. "He confuses me," Victor admits, "because he doesn't want anything from you. Everyone wants something. Maybe that's your problem." Elena turns her wheelchair to face her father directly. "Maybe you've spent so long believing everyone has an angle that you can't recognize sincerity when it dances in front of you." Victor absorbs this. The words land harder than intended, not because Elena said them cruelly, but because they're true. "What does he want from you?" Victor asks. "Nothing. He wants for me." "There's a difference." Elena's hands rest in her lap, fingers flexing slightly like they're remembering the clapping, storing the muscle memory. "He wants me to feel joy. He wants me to engage with movement. He wants me to remember I'm more than what happened to me. And that's enough for him to keep coming back. Why wouldn't it be?" Victor has no answer that doesn't reveal how foreign the concept feels, that someone might do something purely for another person's benefit, with no expectation of return, no calculation of advantage, no transaction hiding beneath generosity. "I offered to help him," Victor says quietly. 3 days ago when I first saw him, I told security to give him food, let him clean up, send him away with resources. And he didn't want your help." "No, because he doesn't need rescuing. He needs purpose." Elena pauses. "Same as me." Victor looks at his daughter. The afternoon light catches her face, highlights features that are becoming unfamiliar because she's changing. Not physically diminishing like she did in the months after the fall, but expanding, growing more present, reclaiming space she voluntarily surrendered to fear and limitation. "What's your purpose?" he asks. Elena considers this carefully. "To remember who I was before I became afraid. And to become someone even stronger than that." "The doctors said." "I don't care what the doctors said." Elena's voice doesn't rise, but it hardens. "They spoke in timelines and probabilities and realistic expectations. They measured me against statistics. Marcus measures me against myself." "That's not fair," Victor says. "The doctors are trying to help. They're trying to manage outcomes. It's different." Elena's gaze stays level. "You hired them to give you certainty, to tell you what to expect so you could control variables and minimize risk. But healing isn't certain. It's not controllable. And trying to make it those things just makes it smaller." Victor feels like he's been punched. Because she's right. Every doctor he hired, every specialist he flew in, every piece of equipment he installed, all of it designed to impose order on chaos, to replace uncertainty with data, to give him something to manage when he couldn't manage what already happened. "I was trying to help you," he says. "I know. And I love you for trying." Elena reaches over, touches his hand. "But maybe the help I need isn't the help you know how to give." They sit in silence while the fountain whispers its constant rhythm, while afternoon shadows stretch across marble, while the weight of 2 years' worth of careful systems and measured progress settles between them like physical presence. "He's coming back tomorrow," Elena says finally. "I know. Are you going to try to control it? To manage how often he comes? Or how long he stays? Or what he does while he's here?" Victor wants to say yes. Wants to explain that control keeps her safe, that management prevents chaos, that systems exist for good reasons. But he looks at his daughter's face, at the color in her cheeks, at the brightness in her eyes, at the posture that suggests hope instead of endurance, and he realizes that safety without joy might not actually be safety at all. It might just be a different kind of cage. "No," he says quietly. "I'm not going to control it." Elena smiles. "Good." That night, Victor sits in his study reviewing security footage from the courtyard. He watches Marcus dance frame by frame, trying to understand the mechanics, trying to decode the pattern. But there is no pattern. Or rather, the pattern shifts constantly, responding to Elena's reactions in real time, adjusting based on subtle cues Victor can't identify even after watching the same sequence 4 times. It's improvisation. It's listening. It's everything Victor's life doesn't contain. His phone buzzes. Text from Gerald Simmons, his senior advisor. "Need to discuss the boy. This could become a liability." Victor deletes the message without responding. Another text arrives. "Victor, I'm serious. We need protocols. Background checks. Liability waivers. This kind of exposure." Victor turns off his phone. He watches the security footage one more time. Watches Marcus spin and Elena laugh. Watches his daughter lean forward with engagement that 2 years of expert therapy never achieved. Watches proof that sometimes the people we think need help are actually the ones showing us what we're missing. And Victor realizes with uncomfortable certainty. He thought he was offering charity to a homeless boy, but Marcus never needed charity. He needed stage. He needed witness. He needed someone who would recognize his purpose instead of trying to manage it. The question that keeps Victor awake until 3 a.m. is this: if Marcus doesn't need saving, then who does? Day 7. Marcus arrives at 3:04. Victor tracks the time from his office, then abandons pretense and walks directly to the courtyard colonnade where he can watch without intervening. Elena is ready. She's been ready since 2:30. Positioned in the exact same spot she's claimed every afternoon this week. Her nurse offered to adjust the wheelchair's position. Elena refused. This specific angle matters somehow: distance from the fountain, proximity to the columns, sightline to the garden gate. She's created her own system. Victor recognizes this because he taught her how. Not intentionally, but through example, through decades of optimizing outcomes, through preference for structure over spontaneity, through belief that control equals success. Now she's using those same skills to create space for something he can't control. The irony isn't lost on him. Marcus enters the courtyard, sees Elena, grins immediately, unguarded expression that suggests he's been looking forward to this moment. Elena grins back. They don't speak. No greeting. No acknowledgement beyond mutual recognition. Marcus simply begins dancing. But today is different. Today, Marcus moves slower, deliberate. His arms cut through air with precision instead of wild energy. His feet strike marble with measured rhythm. Elena watches intently, leaning forward, eyes tracking every movement. After 3 minutes, Marcus stops mid-sequence. "Try it," he says. First full sentence Victor has heard him speak to Elena. Elena blinks. "Try what?" "The arms. The upper part. You can do that from there." Marcus gestures toward her wheelchair. Elena's face shows uncertainty Victor hasn't seen since before the fall. Back when she was 10 and learning piano. Back when new challenges felt like opportunities instead of threats. "I don't know how," she says quietly. "Neither did I until I tried." Marcus demonstrates again. Slow motion, arms rising from his sides, cutting arcs through air, finishing with hands meeting above his head. "See? Not complicated. Just deliberate." Elena places her hands in starting position. Hesitates. "No wrong way to do this," Marcus says. "Only your way." Elena lifts her arms. They shake. Her coordination falters. Her left arm rises higher than her right, creating a symmetry that makes the movement look broken instead of beautiful. She stops, lowers her arms. Frustration tightens her face. "Again," Marcus says simply. "I can't." "You can. You just haven't yet." Different thing. Elena looks at him. Something in his certainty bypasses her doubt. She tries again. Better this time. Still imperfect. Still shaky. But closer to the shape Marcus demonstrated. "Good," Marcus says. Again. Victor watches his daughter repeat the movement 8 more times. Each repetition shows slight improvement. Smoother coordination, better control, less trembling. By the 10th attempt, the movement looks intentional. By the 15th, it looks graceful. Elena's face transforms. Frustration becomes focus, becomes something approaching pride. "I'm doing it," she breathes. "You're doing it," Marcus confirms. Then he starts dancing again, incorporating Elena's arm movements into his full body sequence. They move together now. Not identically, not synchronized, but connected. Two people speaking the same language from different instruments, creating rhythm that's collaborative instead of parallel. Victor's throat closes. Elena is dancing. From her wheelchair, with limited mobility, with physical restrictions that should make this impossible, she's dancing. The realization hits Victor like physical impact. His daughter isn't broken. She's adapted. And adaptation isn't diminishment. It's transformation. The dance continues for 50 minutes. Longest session yet. Marcus introduces new movements. Elena attempts each one, sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing, always trying again without Marcus needing to prompt her. Failure becomes iteration instead of endpoint. Victor tracks this shift with the same intensity he tracks market movements. The pattern matters. The progression matters. The fact that his daughter is engaging with challenge instead of avoiding it, that matters more than anything in his office upstairs, more than anything in the 17 meetings his assistant rescheduled this week, more than anything he thought mattered before this courtyard became the center of his attention. At 4:45, Marcus slows the dance to a stop. Elena is breathing hard, face flushed, hands red from clapping and moving. "Tomorrow," she says before he can leave. Not question. Statement. "Tomorrow," Marcus agrees. He turns to go. "Wait," Elena says. Marcus stops. "Thank you." Elena's voice carries weight that transforms the simple phrase into something more significant. "For not treating me like I'm fragile." Marcus considers this. "You're not fragile. You're healing." Different thing. Then he leaves. Same quiet exit. Same bare feet. Same refusal to linger or claim space beyond what's necessary. Victor approaches his daughter slowly. "That was remarkable," he says. "I'm sore." Elena rotates her shoulders, testing the muscles she just used in ways they haven't been used in 2 years. Good sore. The kind that means something's waking up. Victor pulls a chair from the colonnade. Sits without asking permission, without agenda. Just sits. I hired the best physical therapists, he says quietly. Spent hundreds of thousands. None of them suggested you could dance from your wheelchair. Because they're trained to see limitation. Marcus is trained to see possibility. Elena looks at her father. It's not their fault. You hired them to tell you what to expect. They gave you realistic timelines. They protected you from false hope. And Marcus doesn't care about protecting anyone from anything. He just cares about seeing what's actually there. Elena pauses, including things that aren't supposed to be there according to medical consensus. Victor absorbs this. The implication settles like weight in his chest. Are you saying I've been holding you back? I'm saying you've been trying to carry me forward in the only way you know how. With resources. With expertise. With systems designed to optimize outcomes. Elena's expression softens. But healing isn't optimization. It's discovery. And discovery requires space for things you didn't plan for. Victor's jaw tightens. I was trying to help. I know. And I love you for trying. But Elena stops, searching for words that won't wound more than necessary. But maybe the help I needed wasn't more structure. Maybe it was less. Maybe it was someone who would witness me without trying to manage me. The words land like indictment. Victor stands abruptly, walks to the fountain, places both hands on carved stone that stood here for 3 generations, outlasting everyone who thought they controlled this estate, outlasting everyone who believed authority and wealth could solve anything that money could touch. I built empires, he says quietly. I took nothing and made something. I provided for you in ways my father never provided for me. I gave you everything. Except permission to fail, Elena interrupts. Except space to struggle. Except trust that I could find my own way even if it didn't match your timeline. Victor turns to face his daughter. The doctors said progress would be slow. They said realistic expectations were crucial. They said hope without evidence could be dangerous. They were protecting themselves. Elena's voice stays gentle but firm. If they promised too much and you didn't improve, you could sue them. If they promised little and you exceeded expectations, they could claim victory. They were managing liability. Marcus is managing nothing. He's just showing up. Just showing up isn't enough. Isn't it? Elena gestures toward the courtyard where they just danced. He shows up. He witnesses me. He responds to who I actually am instead of who medical charts say I should be. And somehow that's achieving more than 2 years of expert intervention. Victor wants to argue. Wants to defend the systems he built, the resources he provided, the expertise he secured. But he watches his daughter's face. Color in her cheeks. Brightness in her eyes. Posture that suggests engagement instead of endurance. And he can't deny the evidence in front of him. Something is working. Something he doesn't understand, can't control, didn't authorize. Something that costs nothing and achieves everything he spent millions trying to buy. What do you need from me? He asks finally. Elena's expression softens completely. Let me try. Let me fail. Let me discover what I'm capable of without you deciding in advance what's realistic. And if you get hurt, then I get hurt. But at least I'll have tried. Elena meets her father's eyes. Living carefully isn't the same as living fully. I forgot that for a while. Marcus reminded me. Victor returns to sit beside his daughter. They occupy the same space in silence while afternoon light shifts across marble, while the fountain whispers its constant rhythm, while 2 years of careful systems and measured progress crack beneath simple truth. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes help means stepping back. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone isn't resources or expertise or control. It's permission to become whoever they're capable of becoming, even if that person looks different than you expected, especially then. He's coming back tomorrow, Elena says. I know. Are you going to watch? Victor looks at the courtyard, at space that's becoming sacred somehow, at marble that's absorbing new meaning with each barefoot dance, At fountain that's witnessed 3 generations of his family and now witnesses something none of them anticipated. Yes, he says. I'm going to watch. But that night, as Victor reviews security footage frame by frame, searching for patterns he can understand, for systems he can replicate, for control he can reclaim, he realizes the truth. Marcus didn't bring a system. He brought himself. And maybe that's the revelation Victor spent 2 years avoiding. That presence matters more than programs. That witnessing matters more than managing. That sometimes the people we think need saving are actually the ones teaching us what it means to truly see another human being. The question keeping Victor awake until dawn. If he stops trying to control Elena's healing, who does that make him? Day 17 arrives with photographer and telephoto lens. Victor's head of security reports it at 2:47 p.m. Woman across the street, professional equipment, positioned to capture the courtyard through gaps in the iron gate. We can have her removed, the security chief says, standing in Victor's office doorway. Trespassing laws. No. Victor doesn't look up from the window where he's been standing since 2:30, watching Elena position herself in the courtyard. Let her photograph. Sir, these images will circulate. Questions will intensify. Your privacy was never mine to keep. Victor turns from the window. Not anymore. The security chief's jaw tightens. With respect, sir, we don't know this boy's background. We haven't verified his intentions. If something goes wrong, then something goes wrong. Victor's voice stays level. But stopping this because of what might happen would guarantee something worse. My daughter stops healing. The board members have been calling. They're concerned about. Tell the board I'll address their concerns when they're relevant. Right now, they're not. The security chief hesitates, then nods, leaves. Victor returns to the window. Below, Marcus enters the courtyard at 3:04. Exact same time as yesterday, as the day before, as every day for 17 days. The boy operates on internal clock that doesn't require watches or phones or systems. He just knows. Elena's face transforms the moment she sees him. Anticipation becomes joy, becomes readiness. Marcus grins, begins dancing. But today he introduces something new. He dances closer to Elena than usual, moves in tight circles around her wheelchair, like he's drawing protective boundary, like he's claiming space that belongs to both of them. Elena watches intently. Then, without prompting, she begins moving her arms in the patterns he taught her over the past 2 weeks. They're dancing together, not taking turns, not watching and responding. Actually together, simultaneous movement, shared rhythm, collaborative creation. Victor's chest tightens. His phone vibrates. Text from Gerald Simmons, we need to talk. Now. Victor silences the phone. Another text arrives. Images are already circulating. Twitter, Instagram, people asking questions. This needs immediate management. Victor turns off the phone completely. He watches his daughter dance. At 3:47, Marcus slows his movements, stops completely, looks at Elena with expression Victor can't quite read. Assessment mixed with certainty, like he's measuring something invisible. I want to try something, Marcus says. Elena straightens immediately. What? Standing. Single word that drops into afternoon air like stone into still water. Victor's body goes rigid. Elena's face shows no hesitation. Okay. Wait. Victor moves without deciding to move. Suddenly at the colonnade's edge. Suddenly visible, suddenly intervening. Both Elena and Marcus turn to look at him. I'm sorry, Victor says, forcing his voice to stay level. But standing? That's... He stops, searching for words that don't reveal how thoroughly fear has replaced rationality. That's significant. We should consult her doctors. We should prepare properly. I don't want to prepare, Elena says quietly. I want to try. Elena, the risks. I know the risks. I've lived with the risks for 2 years. Her voice doesn't rise but somehow fills the entire courtyard. Every morning I wake up in this chair. Every night I go to sleep in this chair. I know exactly what's at stake. Victor descends the colonnade steps without permission. Crosses marble he suddenly doesn't recognize as his own. stops 10 feet from his daughter. If you fall, then I fall. Elena's expression carries determination that's terrifying in its completeness. But I'd rather fall trying than stay safe never knowing. Marcus remains silent, body still, watching this exchange without interfering. Victor looks at him. You think she's ready? Doesn't matter what I think. Marcus's voice stays quiet. She thinks she's ready. That's what matters. You're not a doctor. You're not a therapist. You don't have training. No. Marcus meets Victor's eyes directly. I just have attention. And I've been paying attention for 17 days. She's stronger than when we started. Her core muscles engage better. Her balance has improved even sitting down. Her confidence has rebuilt. He pauses. She's ready. Whether you're ready to see her try, that's different question. The words land like accusation. Victor feels something crack inside him. Old foundation giving way, protective instinct colliding with recognition that protection might have become prison. Please, he says quietly. Just let me stay. Let me be here. Elena's expression softens. I want you here. I've always wanted you here. I just didn't want you managing this. Victor nods slowly, moves to sit on the fountain's edge where he can witness without intervening, where he can be present without controlling. His heart hammers against his ribs. His hands shake. Every instinct screams to stop this, to restore order, to protect his daughter from variables he can't predict. But he stays silent. Marcus positions himself carefully, close enough to catch Elena if she falls, far enough to let her body work independently. Hands on the armrests, he says quietly. Feel your weight. Don't think about lifting. Think about discovering where your strength already exists. Elena places both hands on the wheelchair's armrests. Her face tightens with focus. Not fear, but concentration so intense it transforms her features. Breathe, Marcus says. Your body knows what to do. You just have to listen. Elena inhales deeply, holds it, releases slowly. She pushes. Nothing happens for 3 seconds. Then movement. Her hips lift, just barely. Air passes beneath her. Wheelchair seat suddenly empty. Her entire body trembles. Her arms shake. Tendons stand out along her neck like cables under tension. Victor stops breathing. That's it, Marcus whispers. Just hold it. Feel it. Remember what this is. 5 seconds. 8. Elena's face shows strain but not pain. Effort but not fear. 12 seconds. 15. Her legs tremble but hold. Her arms shake but maintain pressure. Her core engages in ways Victor hasn't seen since before the fall. Back when she climbed trees in the garden. Back when she ran across the same marble without thinking about it. Back when movement was instinct instead of achievement. 20 seconds. Okay, Marcus says gently. That's enough. Come back down. Elena lowers herself slowly. Controlled descent. She sits back in the wheelchair, breathing hard, face flushed, eyes wide. Silence fills the courtyard so completely that even the fountain's whisper seems to pause. Then Elena laughs. Not polite laughter, not careful joy, but sound pulled from somewhere deep in her chest. Raw and unfiltered and absolutely real. I felt it, she gasps. My legs, my muscles, everything. I felt everything. Victor's vision blurs. His throat closes. His chest feels crushed by something too large to name. Pride and terror and hope and grief all compressed into single moment of recognition. His daughter is healing. Not according to timelines. Not according to medical consensus. But actually undeniably healing. He drops to one knee on marble without deciding to kneel. His hand presses against warm stone to steady himself. Tears blur everything. Marcus looks at Victor with expression that holds no triumph, no judgment. Just quiet recognition, like he's seeing past the tailored suit and accumulated wealth, seeing through to whatever sits beneath all that construction. She's strong, Marcus says quietly. Stronger than anyone told her she was allowed to be. Victor can't respond. Words dissolve before reaching his mouth. Elena wipes her eyes. Tomorrow I'll try for longer. Tomorrow you'll rest, Victor manages. Let your body recover. I don't want to rest. I want to keep going. Elena. 2 years, Dad. Her voice breaks. 2 years of rest and recovery and careful management. 2 years of being told what's realistic. 2 years of shrinking myself to fit inside expectations. She meets her father's eyes. I'm done with realistic. I want real. Victor understands then, truly understands what he's been doing. Not helping, managing, not supporting, controlling, not loving, protecting himself from witnessing her struggle by preventing struggle from happening. Okay, he whispers. Okay, we try again tomorrow if you want to. Elena smiles through tears. I want to. Marcus starts to leave. Wait, Victor says, standing with difficulty. Please. Marcus turns back. Victor crosses the courtyard. Stops 3 feet away. Extends his hand. Thank you, he says, for seeing what I couldn't. For trusting what I was afraid to believe. Marcus looks at the offered hand for a long moment. Then shakes it, grip firm, eye contact steady. I didn't do anything special, Marcus says. I just showed up. You could have done the same thing if you'd stopped trying to fix her long enough to just witness her. The words should sting. Instead, they land like relief, like permission to stop carrying weight he was never meant to carry alone. Will you keep coming? Victor asks. No matter what anyone says? No matter what gets published or questioned or misunderstood? Marcus considers this carefully. As long as she wants me to. Yes. Good. Victor releases the boy's hand. Good. After Marcus leaves, Elena and Victor sit together on the fountain's edge. Late afternoon light slants across marble, casting long shadows from columns that have witnessed 3 generations of Victor's family navigate success and failure and everything between. People are taking pictures, Victor says quietly. Questions are spreading. By tomorrow, this will be news. Let it be news. Elena's voice stays calm. I'm not ashamed of healing. Why should you be? I'm not ashamed. Victor stops. Searches for truth beneath practiced responses. I'm afraid of losing control of the narrative. You never had control of the narrative. You just thought you did. Elena looks at her father. The truth doesn't need managing. It just needs witnessing. Victor sits beside his daughter in silence, and for the first time in 17 days, maybe for the first time in 2 years, he understands something fundamental. Control was always illusion. The only real choice was whether to witness truth or construct comfortable fiction. If you're listening to this story right now, maybe you've felt this too. Maybe you've confused helping with managing. Maybe you've surrounded someone you love with resources when what they actually needed was presence. Maybe you've tried so hard to protect someone from failure that you accidentally prevented them from succeeding. We tell ourselves we're helping. We believe we're doing the right thing. But sometimes the people we think need saving are actually the ones showing us what we've forgotten about dignity, about trust, about what it really means to see another human being clearly. If this story is reaching something true inside you, if you recognize yourself in Victor's struggle, or Elena's determination, or Marcus's quiet certainty, then maybe take a moment to show this story matters. Not because I'm asking, but because stories like this survive only when people who feel something choose to support them. Like this video if these questions are worth asking. Subscribe if you believe we need more stories about what real help actually looks like. And if you want, leave a comment about what you would have done. Not what you think you should have done, but what you honestly would have done if your daughter wanted to stand and you were terrified she might fall. These aren't easy questions. There are no easy answers. But maybe that's exactly why we need to keep asking them. The sun lowers toward horizon. Shadows stretch across courtyard like memories made physical. What happens now? Elena asks. Now we see what tomorrow brings. Victor places his hand over his daughter's. Together. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Even if that means letting me fail? Especially then. Victor's voice steadies with new certainty. Because failing while trying is still better than succeeding at staying safe. They sit until twilight transforms marble from gold to gray, until the fountain's whisper becomes the loudest sound in world that suddenly feels larger and more uncertain and infinitely more real than the controlled space Victor spent 2 years constructing. That night, Victor receives 43 phone calls he doesn't answer. His inbox fills with messages marked urgent. Board members demand meetings. Lawyers suggest strategies. Advisors present crisis management plans. But Victor sits in his study watching security footage of Elena standing, watching 20 seconds of trembling courage that achieved more than 2 years of expert intervention, watching proof that sometimes the truth costs everything and saves everything at once. And he realizes, the boy never needed help. The daughter never needed fixing. The only person who needed saving was the father who confused control with love, who mistook authority for connection, who spent so long building empires that he forgot what actually matters. Now comes the choice. Maintain the power that built his reputation, or embrace the truth that might finally set all of them free. 3 months pass like water finding new paths. Inevitable, transforming, impossible to reverse once started. The courtyard becomes something Victor doesn't have words for. Not therapy room. Not performance space. Something closer to sacred ground. Marble that absorbs meaning with each barefoot dance. Fountain that witnesses transformation most people measure in years but here unfolds in weeks. Marcus never misses a day. 3:04 p.m. every afternoon. Perfect internal clock that operates without technology or systems or external prompts. Elena stops using the wheelchair for courtyard sessions by week 6. She positions herself on the fountain's edge instead, standing with assistance, then standing with less assistance, then standing independently for minutes that stretch into quarter hours. Walking comes on day 73. Victor watches from the colonnade. Same position he's occupied for 3 months, witnessing without intervening, present without managing. Elena releases Marcus's supporting hand. Takes 1 step, then another. Her gait isn't smooth, her balance wavers, but she moves forward under her own power, and that's everything. 7 steps from fountain to center of courtyard. She stops there, breathing hard, smiling wider than Victor has seen since before the fall, before the hospital, before everything shrank to what could be managed from a chair. I did it, she says, not to anyone specifically. Just declaring truth to afternoon air. You did it? Victor agrees from the colonnade. Voice rough with tears, he doesn't try to hide anymore. Marcus doesn't clap. Doesn't celebrate loudly. Just nods. Subtle expression that carries more pride than theatrical applause ever could. The media storm passed after 6 weeks. Initial explosion of speculation gave way to human interest pieces, which gave way to feel-good coverage, which eventually gave way to newer stories, fresher mysteries, constant churn of content that consumes everything and retains nothing. But the courtyard remains. By month 3, Elena walks unassisted for extended periods. Not perfectly, not without occasional stumbles, but confidently, body remembering patterns it thought it forgot, strength rebuilding through repetition and will. Victor stops breathing. That's it, Marcus whispers. Just hold it. Feel it. Remember what this is. 5 seconds. 8. Elena's face shows strain but not pain. Effort but not fear. 12 seconds. 15. Her legs tremble but hold. Her arms shake but maintain pressure. Her core engages in ways Victor hasn't seen since before the fall. Back when she climbed trees in the garden. Back when she ran across the same marble without thinking about it. Back when movement was instinct instead of achievement. 20 seconds. Okay, Marcus says gently. That's enough. Come back down. Elena lowers herself slowly. Controlled descent. She sits back in the wheelchair breathing hard, face flushed, eyes wide. Silence fills the courtyard so completely that even the fountain's whisper seems to pause. Then Elena laughs. Not polite laughter, not careful joy, but sound pulled from somewhere deep in her chest. Raw and unfiltered and absolutely real. I felt it, she gasps. My legs, my muscles, everything. I felt everything. Victor's vision blurs. His throat closes. His chest feels crushed by something too large to name. Pride and terror and hope and grief all compressed into single moment of recognition. His daughter is healing. Not according to timelines. Not according to medical consensus. But actually undeniably healing. He drops to one knee on marble without deciding to kneel. His hand presses against warm stone to steady himself. Tears blur everything. Marcus looks at Victor with expression that holds no triumph, no judgment. Just quiet recognition, like he's seeing past the tailored suit and accumulated wealth, seeing through to whatever sits beneath all that construction. She's strong, Marcus says quietly. Stronger than anyone told her she was allowed to be. Victor can't respond. Words dissolve before reaching his mouth. Elena wipes her eyes. Tomorrow I'll try for longer. Tomorrow you'll rest. Victor manages. Let your body recover. I don't want to rest. I want to keep going. Elena. 2 years, Dad. Her voice breaks. 2 years of rest and recovery and careful management. 2 years of being told what's realistic. 2 years of shrinking myself to fit inside expectations. She meets her father's eyes. I'm done with realistic. I want real. Victor understands then, truly understands what he's been doing. Not helping, managing, not supporting, controlling, not loving, protecting himself from witnessing her struggle by preventing struggle from happening. Okay, he whispers. Okay, we try again tomorrow if you want to. Elena smiles through tears. I want to. Marcus starts to leave. Wait, Victor says, standing with difficulty. Please. Marcus turns back. Victor crosses the courtyard, stops 3 feet away, extends his hand. Thank you, he says, for seeing what I couldn't, for trusting what I was afraid to believe. Marcus looks at the offered hand for a long moment, then shakes it, grip firm, eye contact steady. I didn't do anything special, Marcus says. I just showed up. You could have done the same thing if you'd stopped trying to fix her long enough to just witness her. The words should sting. Instead, they land like relief, like permission to stop carrying weight he was never meant to carry alone. Will you keep coming? Victor asks. No matter what anyone says? No matter what gets published or questioned or misunderstood? Marcus considers this carefully. As long as she wants me to. Yes. Good. Victor releases the boy's hand. Good. After Marcus leaves, Elena and Victor sit together on the fountain's edge. Late afternoon light slants across marble, casting long shadows from columns that have witnessed 3 generations of Victor's family navigate success and failure and everything between. People are taking pictures, Victor says quietly. Questions are spreading. By tomorrow, this will be news. Let it be news. Elena's voice stays calm. I'm not ashamed of healing. Why should you be? I'm not ashamed. Victor stops. Searches for truth beneath practiced responses. I'm afraid of losing control of the narrative. You never had control of the narrative. You just thought you did. Elena looks at her father. The truth doesn't need managing. It just needs witnessing. Victor sits beside his daughter in silence, and for the first time in 17 days, maybe for the first time in 2 years, he understands something fundamental. Control was always illusion. The only real choice was whether to witness truth or construct comfortable fiction. Victor applauds from the colonnade. Elena turns, surprised. I didn't know you were watching. I'm always watching now. Victor descends to the courtyard. Not managing, just witnessing. There's difference, Elena says, echoing Marcus's words. I'm learning that. Victor sits on the fountain's edge. What are you going to do now? After Marcus? After... He gestures vaguely at everything that's changed. I want to help people. Elena joins her father on the fountain. People like me. People who got told what they can't do and started believing it. I want to show them there's difference between limitation and inability. How? I don't know yet. Maybe teaching. Maybe therapy. Maybe just dancing in courtyards until someone who needs to see it sees it. Elena looks at her father. But I want to pass forward what Marcus gave me. Not the dancing exactly. The permission. The belief. The witnessing without managing. Victor feels pride so intense it's almost painful. When do you want to start? Now. Today. As soon as possible. Elena's expression carries determination that's familiar because Victor wore it himself for decades. But refined now. Focused not on control but on connection. Not on managing outcomes but on creating space for truth. Then we'll start. Victor extends his hand. Together. Whatever you need, whatever it takes, we build it together. Elena takes her father's hand. Squeezes. They sit in afternoon light while the fountain whispers its constant rhythm, while birds settle on columns that have witnessed 3 generations learn similar lessons through different circumstances, while the courtyard holds space for whatever comes next. Do you think he'll come back? Elena asks quietly. I don't know. Maybe. Victor considers carefully. But I think he'd want you to keep going regardless. He didn't come here to become necessary. He came here to show you that you already were. Elena nods slowly. I'm going to keep dancing every day. 304. Just in case he passes through again. And if he doesn't? Then I dance anyway, because that's what he taught me. The dance isn't about him. It's about remembering who I am. Victor pulls his daughter close. She leans against his shoulder. Physical trust that was lost for 2 years and rebuilt over 3 months through barefoot dances and witnessed courage. I'm sorry, Victor says quietly, for trying to fix you when you weren't broken, for surrounding you with experts when what you needed was presence, for confusing control with love. You loved me the only way you knew how, Elena replies, and when you learned better, you did better. That's all anyone can do. They watch the courtyard together as afternoon becomes evening, as shadows stretch and light shifts and the space transforms from what it was into what it's becoming. The marble remains warm. The fountain keeps whispering. The columns stand witness. And somewhere in the growing darkness, a barefoot boy moves toward whatever needs him next, carrying nothing, taking nothing, leaving behind only truth that was always there, waiting to be recognized. The foundation opens on Tuesday morning. Victor stands at the entrance watching people arrive. Parents pushing wheelchairs, teenagers on crutches, children with visible disabilities and invisible struggles, adults who learn to shrink themselves and want to remember expansion. The building is beautiful but not ostentatious. Large windows overlook garden courtyard. Hardwood floors that echo with footsteps. Space designed for movement, for risk, for the kind of healing that can't be measured in medical charts. Above the entrance, carved letters. The Marcus Foundation for Adaptive Movement. Elena appears beside her father, walking independently now, balance steady, strength rebuilt. Are you ready? Victor asks. I'm terrified, Elena admits. What if I can't help them? What if I don't have whatever Marcus had? You have yourself. That's what they need. Victor places his hand on his daughter's shoulder. Not someone who fixes them, someone who witnesses them. Elena nods, takes deep breath, walks through the entrance into the main studio where 30 people wait. Bodies that don't work the way bodies are supposed to work. Lives that don't fit inside standard expectations. Hope that's been managed into realistic timelines and careful language. Elena positions herself in the center of the room. No microphone. No formal introduction, just presence. I'm Elena, she begins. 18 months ago, I couldn't walk. 2 years before that, I fell from a balcony and broke my spine. The doctors told me what to expect. They gave me timelines. They spoke in careful language about realistic outcomes. She pauses. 30 pairs of eyes track her with intensity that's familiar because she wore that same expression herself. Hunger for something true, for permission, for witness that doesn't flinch. Then a boy started dancing in my father's courtyard. Elena continues. He had nothing, no credentials, no training, no systems or protocols or evidence-based methodology. He just had attention, and he paid attention to who I actually was instead of who the charts said I should be. She begins moving, slow at first, then building, arms cutting through air with practiced grace, body that remembers both limitation and transcendence. This isn't about dancing, she says while moving. It's about remembering you're more than what happened to you, more than what you're told you can't do, more than the careful boundaries people build around you because they're afraid to watch you struggle. 30 bodies lean forward. I'm going to teach you what he taught me, Elena says. Not steps, not technique, permission. To try, to fail, to discover who you are when no one is managing your outcome. She extends her hand toward a girl in a wheelchair near the front. Maybe 9 years old, eyes wide, body coiled with both hope and fear. Want to try? Elena asks. The girl nods. Elena shows her the arm movements. Simple sequence. The girl attempts it, gets halfway through, stops when coordination fails. Again, Elena says gently. The girl tries again. Better this time. Again. By the 5th attempt, the movement looks intentional. By the 10th, it looks graceful. The girl's face transforms. Frustration becoming focus, becoming something approaching joy. Victor watches from the doorway. Tears blur his vision, but he doesn't look away. His phone vibrates. Text from Gerald Simmons, who resigned from advisory position 9 months ago. Saw the article about the foundation. Really beautiful work. Hope it succeeds. Victor types back. It already has. He pockets the phone. Returns attention to the studio where his daughter teaches 30 people the lesson a barefoot boy taught her. That dignity doesn't come from what you're given. It comes from what you recognize. That help isn't about resources applied from positions of power. It's about presence offered between equals. That sometimes the people we think need saving are actually the ones showing us who we really are. And that truth, once revealed, can transform everything if we're brave enough to witness it without trying to manage it away. The afternoon light slants through studio windows, casting long shadows across hardwood floors where 30 people learn to move, to try, to fail, to discover. Elena dances among them, not leading exactly but participating, demonstrating that limitation isn't the same as inability, that adaptation isn't diminishment, that strength has nothing to do with perfection. Victor watches his daughter heal others by remembering her own healing. And somewhere in the city, maybe in another courtyard, maybe on another stage, a barefoot boy dances for someone who needs to see it, who needs to remember, who needs permission to become whoever they're capable of becoming. The dance continues. The truth remains. And the marble, wherever it is, keeps absorbing meaning one barefoot step at a time.